Alright, hello everyone. Welcome back to Monkey Moves. I know there's been a lot of days I haven't been here. For those of you who didn't know, I was at the tournament. Right here it says tournament tomorrow. It has passed, but I went to Charlotte for the classic tournament that they had, as well as their Blitz. And yeah, the results were, I went 3 out of 5 in my section, so I had 3 wins and 2 losses. I wasn't too happy with the losses, but I don't think that I necessarily made like a huge blunder in either of them. I think it was more so showing to my weaknesses as a player, so it's something that I could learn from, as opposed to just being like, you know, damn, there goes that shot, you know, I'll try again soon. But I got 3 out of 5. I believe I placed like 12th out of like 50, so still not too terrible. And then in the Blitz, I actually did, I don't know if you guys could see that, but I did claim first place in the U1600 for Blitz. And I didn't want to play in the U1600. I asked them if they could move me up, because for normal tournaments you could kind of choose what section you could be in if your rating qualifies, but here they just want to keep it simple for the Blitz, so they, just divided it by over and under 1600. But I ended up being first place and got some money for my troubles, so can't complain too much. But yeah, it was a good tournament. For those of you who are interested in the vlogs, I have all the footage. Just going to take a couple of weeks to get that sorted out, because I am not a very good video editor, as y'all may have noticed. Pretty much the extent of my editing comes to hitting start and stop on OBS Streamlabs over here for my videos. So actually having to like cut footage and attach, and you know, maybe putting in some music or audio or whatever I need to do. It's going to be a new challenge, but it should be fun. But in the meanwhile, as you can see in the title of the video, I am going to be going over my games. So this game here is the first game that I played in the tournament. So this is day 1. This was on Friday evening at 6:30. We just pulled into Charlotte at around, I want to say like 6. We got there pretty late because we hit some traffic on both ways, both in Charleston and in Charlotte. But yeah, without further ado, let me show you my game and kind of go over it with you guys. You could tell who's white just by that move right there. You do still catch people off guard, I found, with this opening, but in slow time controls they do find the best move more often than not. So he's kind of got like a reverse London going on. He's just saying like, I don't care what you're doing, you know, I'm just going to develop. Now he threatens my b4 pawn, and as you all know, there's always going to be 2 moves, a3 and b5. I ended up going with b5 in this game. The computer actually says that's an inaccuracy, but it's not like so crazy an inaccuracy. As you can see, it's only -0.3, which I would not say is bad whatsoever. And it's also more aggressive, so I wanted to come out to my first tournament, you know, throwing punches. We get bishop to e7, knight f3, castle, develop bishop, knight comes out. I already know that he's going to be coming here because I plan on playing d4 in the future so that he can't go there. I prepare d4 by moving my knight here because I don't want to play d4 and then he checks me and then I have to move my knight there. I'd rather just not give him the control of the situation, even if the moves end up being more or less the same. He plays h6, which I never really had any interest in bringing my knight here, so I knew that was kind of a mediocre move. I get my d4, I get control of the center. He plays c6. I play a4 defending, and he brings his knight into the game. Very good score on e4. And I chose to just ignore this for the time being, which maybe was not my best option. Yeah, he puts a pin on my king, but I do still have enough supporting pieces, so I just castle. He puts his rook over on b8. Again, I thought that was a little strange, because that would mean that I would have to open up the position for that rook to be useful, because this pawn is not pushing towards the queen, so I don't think it's useful for that reason, and it's never going to actually face off against my against my queen, unless a lot of weird moves happen. But I took care. And what I was thinking about in the game was, I'm going to show this line right here, was this sacrifice. And it doesn't work out, as you could see, But it took me like 25 minutes to calculate this, which it shouldn't have, which kind of shows, again, that I need to focus a little more on tactics. But I was thinking, look at how many pieces are hanging. How do you defend all three of these? I was thinking, oh, well, you could go here, in which case I play g4. And if he takes g4, then I take the knight and I'm up a pawn, and I'm pretty happy with this position. You know, I'm threatening this, the king was exposed a little bit. So that was the line I was considering, the knight sack. However, the knight sack actually fails a lot earlier than that. Because you just have something like this, for example. Well, not that one in particular. First you go here, then when I do this, then you can do something like this. And now everything is protected. And I just have this pawn that's about to drop, because my queen is being threatened. So I'm about to not even be up a pawn, just be down a full piece. Pretty much. So ended up not playing that, but I did take once here because I wanted to open this line up. And then I went bishop here to pressure the knight. And my idea was that I could either get him to have doubled pawns, or I could at least trade off these light square bishops, and that his useful one will be exchanged for my kind of awful one. I need to. But this is where my other mistake comes in that I've been doing. And that mistake is, I don't look to see what my opponent's moves are that aren't being forced by me. So for example, if I take and he takes, you know, that kind of thing, that's a forced move that I initiate, so I calculate those. I do a very bad job as far as seeing my opponent's moves. So he had this tactic actually, where I wasn't even considering it because the knight would just be hanging, right? Why not just take it? But then he has the other knight come in, and I cannot support this twice when he's attacking it twice, so he ends up just getting a full pawn on me. But I did try to complicate things a little bit. So I took, he took, and I went here. So now the idea is that if this knight ever leaves, that I'm taking this bishop, and my queen is, you know, better position than his. So I think that's some compensation for the pawn. But if he takes with a bishop, then I'm thinking that I have to attack this somehow. And I don't know how just yet. I guess first I attack the bishop so it leaves, and then maybe my bishop will come here to d4. I don't know exactly how I plan on doing this, but I wanted to have some sort of, you know, counterattack in that case. But he did take with a knight, and we ended up in this position. So it shows him down about a point, which is about right because I'm down I'm a pawn down. There I go. I just move my knight out of the way. He goes knight to c4, also gets his out of danger, and I start developing. So my kind of idea here is I want to get rid of this structure that he has, because then I can get a more concrete attack on the king. Because right now he's blocking a lot of the squares that my knights can infiltrate to. So if I could get rid of these pawns, my knights will become stronger, if I can still keep his queen doing nothing over here. So now I'm trying to play for e4, which gets rid of one of those pawns, and gets my rook to potentially come in. And he attacks my queen. And obviously this is an even trade, but no trades are ever truly even. They benefit one person more than the other. As you can see, me moving my queen are the two best moves, whereas me taking the queen is the third, best move. So I do not want to take the queen, because then I'm going to have one less attacker, and his pawn is going to mean more. So I go here, and I'm kind of asking him to see, like, do you want to repeat? And I go back to e7. And it's not because I necessarily want to draw. I wanted to play for a win here no matter what. But I wanted to see what his thought process was if he did go queen back to d8. Like, if he's confident enough with a one pawn advantage. And it turned out he was, so he kept playing. So now I did get my queen out of there, and now if he repeats this move, I could just sidestep, for example, and then I still am like relatively close to his king, have some attacking lines, but in that scenario I don't have to trade off the queen, which is what happens. He brings his queen a little closer, and there's a lot of tempting moves here, like knight h5, for example, where I'm both threatening checkmate and his queen. You know, there's a ton of cool moves like that. Unfortunately, they just never work, because all he does is he just steps in front, and then I'm either forced to trade again, or I'm forced to like move my queen somewhere here to protect this knight, and my queen is not actually going to be attacking this king anymore, so it's actually probably worse for my position. So I bring my other rook into the game, and my thought process again, just to try to play for this e4, and now if you were to push, you know, I could just take it and I have enough supporting pieces. We see knight to b2, very annoying move, because I can go here, but then he's just going to go back, which is kind of annoying. He also at some point will be able to grab this pawn. I think if I go here, he's probably just going to go here instead. Which I guess I can block with the knight, but then he does take my a4 pawn, and now he's going to be 2 pawns up. So I go rook d4, which computer did like, but it's kind of too far at this point. He goes down here to c4, and I do something that's, I don't know if I would call it reckless, but I do try to get like a more tactical opportunities for me. So what I do is I move here. And I obviously don't, think his queen is going to move away. I think he's going to take this. But instead of taking with the queen and then trading those off, I take with the pawn. And now my idea with this move is that he never has the option to go right here to g5. And that way his queen has to go here. So if I could prep knight h5 with knight to h4, then he kind of has no squares to defend this mate. And yeah, this is ugly, having that pawn there. And as we could see, it literally, yeah, he attacks the next move, which I should have thought ahead, one more move. But, yeah. I attack his knight, and he actually goes for a check instead of taking this pawn, because there's an even better tactic. Which is that he wins a pawn, and that my back rank is extremely unsafe right now. I needed to play h3 a little earlier. So I get my knight over here. He takes. Obviously can't take with a pawn because I'm losing my queen, so I take with the rook. Now my idea is to go something like h5, and then take this pawn. He can't recapture, so, some sort of attack. And he goes queen to a1. And at first I thought he's like trying to pin my rook or something, so I'm not able to press f5, but it's actually a lot worse than that. He's actually just trying to play bishop to d3, which, would be mate. So, I drop down, and that prevented the bishop from coming to d3, but he has a whole other piece that can do that too. So now what I have to do is I have to support this still. Oh, I stopped recording here. But what he did do is he went rook down here. And my rook cannot go here. I was hoping, again, to trick him. Maybe his bishop would go to d3 instead, and then I'll have rook over to a1. But that just didn't happen. So, yeah, he goes there. I defended. He went here. Again, I defended the only way I could. And what happened in the game is just a bunch of exchanges. And I resigned before the exchanges all finished occurring, but if you could see the situation here, it's 5 pawns to 6. Is that right? 7, I can't count. So he had a 2-pawn advantage, and then if you look at like which of his pawns, like where they are, he has a connected passed pawn, so a protected passed pawn. He has a 2-on-1 situation here that he wins, so he could force the queen here whenever he wants. And then I have no way of attacking these pawns, because as soon as I try, this is going to promote... Excuse me. Oh man, this soda's making me burp a bit. Sorry about that. But basically, what happened in this game is I missed that tactic over here. I think it was on c5 was the square. So I missed that tactic, which costed me a pawn. And then I don't think there was any saving this pawn earlier, but maybe I could have kept it alive a little longer by playing like an h3, just so my king could escape without me having to abandon all of my pieces for defense. If I could have still attacked and maybe went for a perpetual, maybe we would have had a different result, maybe a draw, or maybe I could have pressed on for a win. But that was my first game there in Charlotte. I wish it would have went better, but that's how it went. But I appreciate you guys watching, and then I'm going to be dropping game 2 soon. Have a good one.